I'm going to try to finish as much as these letters I can. My videos are going off. I don't know. I don't know why, but anyway, they're not completing. I was. He sent me. He was FBI and newspaper reporter. And this is February the 13th of 2009, and he knew Larry Flint. Larry Flint was shot in Lawrenceville, Georgia, and I was doing a medical malpractice book called MD: A License to Kill, and it was about mind control, modifying behavior, and programming people to run up and shoot, like this man, the psychiatrist, Fort Hood shooter. That was done in patterns, and he was from Benton, Roanoke, where I'm at, Roanoke, and he finished school at Virginia Tech, where all the mass shootings happened in '07, April the 16th, and that was mind control. But there's a whole list of them, and not just here in Virginia. John Lennon was killed, Elvis Presley, John Wayne, Duke Wayne. You got Steve McQueen. You got movie actors that were killed, and they were murdered using mind control in patterns. So I was flown out to Flint's because he had been the person programmed to shoot him. And that's when the plane went down carrying Larry McDonald, Congressman Doctor, who I'd written about in Atlanta and had antifreeze put in me April Fool Day. It just goes on and on. And Eric Holder, nothing against the French or over there, but there's more to that. The press is so controlled. I mean, you're being led to the, what's a good example? The water, and there's no water. There's nothing else I can say. I have put all this on tapes. It's no good going to the media. They're so controlled. They wouldn't tell the truth. Every day this goes past about mind control murders, and this government's involved in the New World Order, because when they took down my father, Edward VIII, and lied about him and kidnapped me, it's the illegal treaties that after then, 1941, that allowed the United States to start the UN, the United Nations, that, well, you can see for yourself. And Israel became a state, and NATO, and the Geneva, all these treaties, and then where the United States calls these countries friends and allies, most of them began as hostages because it was illegal treaties that illegal George VI, my uncle, when he sold out my father and kidnapped me, if that's not a Cain and Abel and any other, if anybody else had done it, their brother, a movie wouldn't have been made. I'm not even talking. I'm going to have to just put this up because I've been doing this too long, and I'm having some things done to me here that are not good, that are ongoing. So anyway, I'll get back to this. You can get the gist of it. A brother that would do that while they lived good, and he's got his brother who's a real king, and me, Victoria II, he helped kidnap. My uncle did. He gave him access to me. Brought me over here to a pigsty, Moulton, Alabama, near Huntsville. But anyway, I wanted to just finish this. Jack sent me stuff. He told me, like the FBI, and he's part of the FBI, but he was telling me about the police unit that so doesn't exist. It's so secret. Well, I've put that, so I'm babbling right at the moment. It's time to get off of this, I guess. But it was in place in 40. It was Division 5 FBI Secret Police. And in Huntsville, and that's when they kidnapped me and brought me to Moulton, about 45 miles from Huntsville. NASA began, Redstone Arsenal Army, all that was in Huntsville then. But Jack's talking here about the Knights Templar and about France and King Philip tried to destroy the Order of Templar Knights, or the Freemason, Masonic Order. They're the ones kidnapped me. Jews, my own father, and Joe Kennedy, ambassador, and JFK was flying in. He was part of it. And they're talking about the Holy Grail. What this has to do with anything, I'm not sure. But he wrote it to me, so I'm going to put it in. And they're talking about There is, however, a twist to the just precisely what the Holy Grail actually was. The Templar Knights, according to legends, if they were legends, held proof that Jesus of Nazareth was actually married, contrary to biblical interpretations, and that the woman, the vessel of Christ's procreation, was secreted out of Jerusalem to faraway lands, etc., etc. Bottom line was the Templar Knights, later the Masonic Freemasons, held proof there was a continued bloodline of Jesus Christ, hence the Holy Grail. The bloodline has been carried down through the ages. To this day, Masonic lodges and Freemasons, particularly Masons who have risen to the level of third degree, continued with the secret rituals, much pomp and circumstance, much mystery, rituals handed down, of course. Now then, if I can get the last part of this, I'm going to show me. Looked pretty bad, but then I've been through hell, and I still am in it. Every day was a living hell. I did nothing but was kidnapped. The other people committed the crimes, and no one's been held accountable. And now you've got Eric Holder, the over there now in France, telling them how free this country is. It's run amok. Its media has not told the truth. They've deleted. You think a monarch being kidnapped and all these mind control murders and the agency doing it would be newsworthy, don't you? Instead of the media making up lies. Now I want to finish this before this goes off. He's talking about here, and this is when I stopped by Jack's. Larry Flint furnished me a car after I was out there after this, of 83, and I had it for a year. I never saw Mr. Flynn again, but they did send me this Hustler magazine, and he did a parody, which is kind of like satire, so you can make your connection there. I've put it on other tapes. Anyway, I stopped by. He was living in Santa Fe, and he was for the New Mexican News, a reporter. He's FBI, too. And it's right across the mountain from my Aunt Georgia O'Keefe. I found out that was my aunt. And her sister Claudia Ruth is my mom, married to Edward VIII. He never married Wallace Simpson. It was a whole lie contrived by the Freemasons of the United States, etc., etc. But when I was out there, I would have been a good artist. I have a lot of talents, music, painting, journalism. I was never able to pursue because every step I've taken has been hell, and my kids, Mark and Scott, heirs after me to the crown. I don't know where they are, and nobody will touch it. But when I went in there, I noticed the painting on the wall. I stayed there for a couple of weeks with Jack. I was broke, driving a Hustler car, Larry Flint leased car. And Jack was a very nice man to me. He took me in, I stayed there, and I remember he had a book there called Were We Controlled by Lincoln Lawrence, and it was about puppetry and mind control. Are we puppets, etc. But the painting was there, and if I can get this in, and I won't, the painting was done by a guy who turns out from Huntsville, Alabama. He was in Mayor Joe Davis's office, and Sal Mazzini was FBI sent in there as police chief when they tried to kill me and 80 with antifreeze, and I worked for the DA, and yes, all this happened. Fred Simpson in that condition. Jack Hartsville saved my life, but Jackson Mayor's office, and he's talking about the painting that was done by this guy. Mr. Mayor, I think you're right, I replied. This is Jack to the mayor. Joe and I both knew. He's talking about that the best thing that happened to Huntsville was bringing Sal Mazzini in there. Now, he wrote a book, and he was FBI. He says that. But he was sent in there to save my life. And here's Mayor Davis saying that, yeah, that was the best thing that happened to Huntsville. And Jack says, I think you're right. Joe and I both knew the depths of corruption that had befallen Huntsville over the years. That's NASA. And the deaf ears of the Huntsville Times. The rest of the